Hello everyone, welcome back. I wanted to make a video today reflecting on my first approximately month of med school. So I think what I'll do is compare what I was expecting med school to be like to what I've experienced in the past month, a little over a month, and just kind of break it down as far as academics, my life outside of med school, what I'm able to do, and any other things that have surprised me or been noteworthy to me. And before I get started, I will give you a quick update. I did break my finger, unfortunately, so I have it in a splint, and I think I have to wear this for the next 3 or so weeks, and then I'll go back to the doctor, get it checked out again. But I narrowly missed an intra-articular break, so it's in the middle phalanx of my ring finger, and the break went like across the bone and then just veered off before the joint, so I don't have to get surgery on it, I don't think. But if it had gone into the joint, I would have needed surgery to fix it. So fingers crossed, pun intended, that all remains well and I can heal quickly and be done with this. Luckily, it's not my writing hand. If it was my writing hand, med school would be very difficult. Anyways, let's get started. First thing, probably the biggest thing you think about for medical school is the academics. Everyone that I heard talking about medical school, it was the whole drinking from a firing hose analogy as far as how much information you're trying to learn. And I also heard that it's not necessarily difficult or really complex information almost. It's just a lot of information, so you have to be able to like take in all that information. And I mean, so far, yes, that is correct. It varies depending on what you're learning in the particular module, and I will also say, depending on what school you go to, it'll be set up differently. So as far as our school, we're dipping into a lot of different organ systems and disciplines. Like on our last exam, we had radiology mixed with histology and some embryology, and then thorax, neurophysiology, neuroanatomy. So it was a lot of different things at once all together, and that's what makes it overwhelming. But I guess it's just the amount of time and effort you put in to just nail down the material and really study it, be familiar with it. And something I've had to really come to terms with that has helped me not like go insane from the stress is that you're never going to know it all. Completely, you will not know every detail, and what you're really trying to do, which I'm trying to work on my skills of honing down, but you need the high yield information. You need to figure out what that will be and then focus on that you understand all the high yield and the basic outlines, and then fill in details as you can. But I've had 2 exams so far. Luckily passed both exams, and I actually did a vlog of my first exam week, which is on my channel. But the exams have been, in my opinion, fair. Like, it was on the topics that they outlined that could be on the exam, and there were some questions that are harder than others, definitely. They're focused a lot on applying the information and integrating it rather than just having definition questions and rote memorization. Can you just shove all this in your brain and regurgitate it on the exam? And I think a lot of med schools are most likely, or hopefully, moving that way, because that's how you need to think, I would assume, in the medical field. If you're going to be diagnosing people and integrating information, it makes sense to get started now. So that can be definitely tricky and difficult in an adjustment compared to undergrad, but it makes sense, and I feel like I understand it more when I can do these application style questions and I study for those types of questions. So in the long run, I think it's going to be really helpful. The faculty have been at my school extremely willing to work with students and help students understand and navigate the material. And I don't know if that's at most schools, but they really want to work with us. And once you're in med school, they always say the hardest part's getting in, and then once you're in, they want you to stay. It honestly looks bad on them if you fail out and they want your money. So they're gonna want you to stay in, and they are really willing to help a lot of times. And then I know my school offers like tutoring, and then for anatomy now we have optional sessions with M4s or 4th year med students to go into the anatomy lab and do some extra practice with the cadavers and essentially just study with them more. It's like extra study tutoring sessions. So those are really helpful if you look out for those. If your school has a lot of those opportunities, those can really help. My next exam coming up in 2 weeks is including an anatomy practical. We haven't had that yet. So that's going to be interesting. All right, the next thing that I'll touch upon is my life outside of school, how that's been balancing, school and everything else. So I've tried to still do a few activities regularly that I enjoy so that I can have something to look forward to among all the studying and things that keep me active and things like that. So I did join a soccer team, which has been really fun. I have played soccer my whole life, and just getting out, it's 1 day a week, but being able to get out there, run around, socialize with people, I've had time to do it, and the games are later at night, so sometimes it interferes with my bedtime, but I think it's always worth it to kind of go and take that time to unwind, get my legs moving, whatever, it's good. This has kind of put a little bit of a wrench in my soccer playing for the moment, but I've been trying to think of other ways I can stay active in the meantime before I can go back to playing. I've had some time to work out, not all days. I feel like my class schedule varies, so it's hard to give like a general, this is what I do every day, but mostly the classes are in the morning. So when I have classes in the morning, I'll come home, study. If it's a week of an exam, generally I'm studying from when I get home till when I go to bed. If it's a week I don't have an exam and there's something else I want to do, like I'll study for a few hours, maybe go to a soccer game or go on a run or go, I don't know, just do something else so I'm not having 0 breaks, but I definitely spend most of my free time studying. And part of that is due to the way we have our curriculum set up. So we have those self-learning guides I've mentioned in the past, which is a flipped classroom way of that's how we get our material, through these guides that are written and have videos, and coordinators for each module come up with them, give them to us, and it's our responsibility to go through, learn that material, and then we come into large group sessions at school. Because of that, you're using your free time either learning the material at first or then trying to study the material and really get it down pat. And I don't know, it's tough. People in my class there's a varying opinion on how this system is working and how satisfied people are with it. I think in theory it's good. In practice, you end up not having much time at all for anything other than studying, which you can also say it's med school, so that's to be expected. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'll do another update in a little while just to see if anything's changed, because the faculty is really willing to adjust things since we're the first class with this new curriculum. So maybe it'll change a little bit, but I don't know, it is part of the academics too. I'm realizing it's not as much social life, well, whatever. But social life, bottom line, is I've had time to do a few activities outside of my studying, not that much. It's kind of what I was expecting from med school as far as studying most of my free time. And there are a lot of opportunities to get involved in clubs. There's so many I want to be a part of. I don't know how much time I'm going to have even to do a few of them. Like, there's a few career interest groups that I want to go to their presentations or their activities, and there's been a bunch of them I've had to skip because I thought I wanted to go, and then I just was like, I need to learn the material more than go to these extracurricular things. So that's been a little annoying, but we'll see if that changes too once I get things a little more under my control as far as I know how to study and how much time I'll need. Now, as far as any other general things that have surprised me or are noteworthy, I will say if you go to a school that is pass-fail and really team-based, like we have these small groups we were put in that we have for the entire year. So it's these 8 people we're constantly with, and all the in-class activities are team-based. We're talking with our team. I think that very much lends itself to a collaborative environment, and I've honestly had really great experiences so far with my classmates being like helpful and explaining things if you don't understand it, or sharing materials they find that are helpful. And I think when you have graded systems, or there's a ranking and people are worried about others surpassing them and like they want to be top of the class and things like that, you get a lot of people holding back on that type of thing, like not wanting to share sources they find or not wanting to totally help out their classmates. So I do think this curriculum has made it really a good environment among the students, and I was not sure what to expect as far as how classmates would be with each other, but it's been overall a really friendly environment and like a good learning environment. And then something that I didn't consider much before I started school, once it started I was a little taken aback, was anatomy lab. So in our lab we have human donors who have donated their body to science and learning, and then those are what we use for anatomy lab to look at all these organ systems and learn anatomy in like a 3D setting. And it is so helpful to see it on an actual human body, to see all the anatomy that we talk about and see drawings and figures and all this stuff, to actually see it and see what it's related to, and if you move a certain way, how does it look, and all this stuff. So yes, it's very helpful in one sense. However, if you're not used to being in a lab with human donors, it is, so we had a day designated to meeting our human donors that we will be working with in the anatomy lab, and I think a lot of people were not as prepared for it as, yeah, we weren't expecting it to be such a, and I've worked with actually cadavers in the past in undergrad and stuff briefly, but for some reason this one is a little more, made more of an impact on me. And yeah, you feel a little bit weird, not everyone, but for me personally, I felt a little weird for a while about it. It's almost a little bit morbid seeming, and you really have to separate the person, the donor, from the anatomy, because if not, it's a little too sad. And everyone has their own experiences and their own ways they've experienced loss and death and anything like that, where it can affect people in such different ways having a donor in front of you. So I think that's something, if not to scare you, it's a good thing that you do, and it's extremely helpful, but it's just something you have to really get used to if you're not used to it already, and give me a little bit of a different perspective on life, death. I don't know, I was in a weird bit of a funk for a few days, just kind of really thinking about this kind of thing. And yeah, it can be a little dark almost seeming, but in the end you have to kind of, I don't want to say dissociate, because I don't think that's quite healthy, but you gotta be able to separate things sometimes. And as a doctor too, you're gonna have to be able to separate if you have to give bad news, give a bad prognosis, talk to a family. Like, you really have to walk that line of emotion and professionalism, and also not making it about you, and respecting the other people's feelings, all that. I'm a very emotional person, so I think that's going to be a challenge for me, dealing with those really sad, hard situations and not letting my emotions take over, because that's the last thing I would want to do. Anyways, that's a tangent. Yeah, I'd say an anatomy lab was something that took me a little bit by surprise, but it's also been something that's really helpful and really cool, and makes you so grateful for these people that were so generous with their entire body, and did something for the good of others and for the good of science and research, and yeah, they want to help people, so that's really cool. Alright, so I think those are the main things. It's been a lot as far as information and just learning how to study, how to organize it all. My legs are killing me because I'm kneeling right now. Yikes. Okay, I had to stand up because I was losing blood flow to my lower extremities. All right, I hope this has been of interest to see just how the beginning of med school plays out, for me at least, and I'll be updating again in the near future once I kind of know more about how school's going and once we go through different times in school. So, all right, if anyone has any questions or wants to see any type of video, feel free to comment that, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.